Hi there, this is Vaya here. Today I like to do a deck profile on my Nightrose English deck. What happened is that I went to the Singapore qualifier for the bushiroad spring circuit, and surprisingly, out of 300 plus participants for day 1, I made it to top 38 in day 1, which is good with a score line of 5 to 2. which is not really awesome at all, because 5 to 2 means that I have to go to carry on that score at day 2, which I have to play another 3 more rounds of Swiss. So basically I managed to get through it by clinching the last 3 Swiss round win and get a scoreline of 8 to 2. And with that I get into top 8 due to the standings of the result in the top 8 position, and I got 8. That's the best part. So yeah, with that I get this pretty awesome playmat, as you can see right now, the top 8 playmat featuring Automel, Chrono, Jack G, and Asha, and a top 8. Yeah, with that further ado, I shall introduce this Nightrose deck that got me into top 8. Yeah. Actually, it's not really much of a deck out there. I've seen quite a lot of players has been using this Nightrose deck. It's just that how you want to play with it, and when you face your opponents, when you use this deck. So I do a quick review. I'm not gonna go through the nitty gritty details of how this deck and work. It's all up to you guys how you're gonna play it when you play this deck. So yeah, first up I'll play the main card, the 3 Nightrose, 4 copies, sorry. It's still a very good card, and as a GB2, and when it strikes, right, you can call your counter plus 1 and call 1 card from the drop zone and call it to real and gain 2k power. So it's still the bread and butter of this deck as a Vanguard, as a grade 3, and as a be it offensive and defensive tactics. For this, next up I'll play 2 copies of Nightstorm. Nightstorm is a very good card because it gives you more attacks for your turn to pressure your opponent. Yeah, when this unit is better Vanguard or better when you play the cost when it's hollowed. Choose a card that is not named itself and call it a regular circle that this unit not on. And the second effect is pretty much like a free card adder. Pay a cost to find 2 at top 5 for 1 hollow card. 1 card with hollow ability. Yeah. Play 2 copies. It's meant for a rearguard attacker. And this one more spare tire. I call it spare tire because of what happened in the next set in May for English Lamy Ramif, because for now what it does is just help you to mill your deck and gain more power during the early game, because when you mill 2 cards you gain 2k, you are 30k attacker. Then when you first strike, right, and you got this card, you just have an insane 15k attacker by itself. No, plus 6k, 17, my bad. 17 by itself. Then what happens when doing a dry check, when this card stand the trigger, send this unit and gain more power. Yeah, just add a folder. Yeah. So I move on to grade 2s. Grade 2s I'll play 4 copies of this old guy, which is currently one of the most expensive rare double R cards. Nego Lazy, because it's a Nightrose friend. Yeah, if you control a Nightrose Vanguard, you may pay the cost when you place on regular circle, counter plus 1, choose 1 grade 2 card not name itself from your drop zone, call it to regular circle, and then your turn this unit gain 2k, and if this unit is hollow, put in the drop zone, you may counter charge 1 and soul charge 1. So yeah, it's very good, because when during your opponent's turn you can deliberately leave it on the field so that you can activate Nightrose GB2 skill when this card is retired by opponent's attack or card effect. Yeah, so I leave it to you guys how you're gonna manage it. This card is damn awesome. No wonder it's worth the price tag. 2 copies of King Serpent. Yeah, this is a promo version. You'll get a new reprint one in a Ramin Ravi set. This is a promo, yeah. It's a good card. It's a bread and butter for Nightrose deck, because what happens is that you need a counter charge firstly, because Nightrose deck tends to have high usage of counter blast. Secondly is you need a soul, because to do combo with your Negro Lazy and your Gash later on. 2 copies is good enough. 4 copies of Skeleton Scanner. strong card. The denial griffing of Grand Blue, yeah. Because what happened is place on a rear guard circle from the draw zone, play a cost, choose one of your opponent rear guard and retire it. If this unit hollow, then draw a card. Why I say is that because of Nightrose GB2 Vanguard effect. You can, if this guy is retire, right, and you may hollow it straight, may call it back straight away, then call counter blast one and retire one of opponent rear guard straight away, and draw a card free to add more defense. 4 copies is a must. If you don't, I have nothing much to say. And 2 copies of Negro Rook. Negro Rook is just a big stick, 16k attacker when it's hollowed. Yeah. I'll move on to the great ones. For the great ones, right, I'll play 4 copies of the Unflipper Negate. Need not say much. 4 copies of the Strider, the Ghosty Brothers. Yeah, it's pretty good because that next set you can have another Nightrose, from the Rami Navy, so you can either search the defensive one from the trial deck or the new one from the Rami set. Either way, they bear the same name of Nightrose. Still play 4 copies, still awesome. And next will be 4 copies of Negro Boon is one of the best card to complement in this deck with Nightrose, simply because you can put opponent into pressure together with Night Storm as a grade 3 and grade 1 in one column. So because what it does is, this unit boosted a Vanguard. If you control a Vanguard Nightrose, you play a cost, counter plus 1, retire that unit that was boosted, call 1 card with hollow ability from drop zone and call it to rear guard circle. So simply because of this combo, that if you use this and boost, once you finish, you have 2 counter blasts, right? Your opponent gonna face a lot of pressure. One is you're gonna counter blast this one effect first to call 1 unit from the drop zone. Next, you're gonna use this effect to counter blast and retire it, and call 1 unit with hollow ability and call it back. That's it. That's how I'm gonna call this back. Yeah. But that's even wicked. If you have more counter blast, you smack again and you get another free counter blast. The combos is endless, so I leave it to you guys. That's how I practically try to drive my opponent to win the game. And I'll play two special copies, one of each. One is a Swordmaster Mimic with the hollow ability. When this unit is placed on a regular circle from the drop zone, this unit gains 3k until the end of turn. And if this unit is hollow, choose one of your other unit and it gains 3k until the end of turn. So just to power add your other units beside itself. And 1 copy of the Ghosty Bill. When this unit is placed on regular circle from your zone, it gains 2k power. Good, because during the battle, and the next effect is put this card in bottom deck from the drop zone. When this unit put into the drop zone from rear guard during each battle phase, you have Vanguard with Nightrose and card name, you pay a cost, you do counter charge 1. So basically is, if this unit is during a battle phase put in the drop zone, is immediately back to bottom deck and counter charge 1. Which is awesome, honestly, because you need a counter blast to do additional attacks during your turn, so that you force your opponent to discard more cards, and he have not and decrease his offensive strategy for his next turn. So that's all for the grade 1. The grade 0 trigger lineup is much standardized, even when the new set come out next month in May for Rami Lamith, because I think this is the most consistent trigger set that you ever seen ever since set 8 come out with this critical trigger for Nightrose. And then this Ghosty is one of the strongest stand trigger in the strike era. It acts as an offense and a defensive tactics should you play correctly when you need that 10k power and you need that to endure or to blast through your opponents to win the game. Yeah, so I'll play 4 stands, 4 crits. This one is punchy crit, so charge 1, draw 1 card. For Nightrose crit, the soul charge gain your Vanguard plus 5k, and of course you need 4 heals. Yep. And not to mention the starter of this, Wrench. When this unit is put into a drop zone from rearguard circle due to effect hollow ability, counter charge 2. This is pretty much standardized because of this counter charge ability. Goes well with a lot of situations when you need to, during your opponent's turn, you need a counter charge. You need an open counter blast to do something to save yourself and defend. Yep. I move on to the G zones. G zone you can start out with either this 4 copies of Tempest Calling Pirate Gorge. Gorge is a very strong first strike, simply because he has the ability to call back depending on how many cards you want to send from your soul into a drop zone. Yeah. When this unit plays on Vanguard, you may pay a cost of counter +1, soul +1, turn itself face up. If you do, choose up to 5 cards from soul, put them into a drop zone, then the same number that cards that put from soul in the drop zone into separate rearguard circle. Finally, those unit gains 1k power for each face up card in G zone until end of turn. It doesn't matter if later, if you're not gonna use this as first strike, or you can use, because at the later on stage, when this card became more and more powerful, the more when the more cards in your face up G zone has. So practically is, if you have like in a late game, right, you're gonna use this card, you're gonna have about 6 to 7 face up G zone. Then you're gonna gain, your rearguard gain insane power attack just by having one column plus another 12k 10k is scary enough already, because you may not have enough to, your opponent will have to worry that how much do I have to guard for that. But his first strike is good because you need to set up for the field to, if you don't have rear guards. Otherwise, for this first strike you can play Obida. When this unit plays on Vanguard circle, so you have for up to 3 cards, put them in the drop zone, shuffle your deck. If 2 or more cards with hollow ability are put into the drop zone with the effect, choose up to 1 normal unit, ghosty unit from the drop zone, call it the rearguard circle in the same column of this unit. So it's good because you can filter the key cards you want to send in the drop zone to set up your future tactics. And if you use your ghosty strike first, you can immediately +1 booster from your Vanguard circle in behind the Vanguard circle. Yeah. I'll play 4 copies of Nightrose. Grade 4 Nightrose. Grade 4 Nightrose is a strong card, typically strong end gamer, because choose a face up card, call it for its own copy when Jesus is face up when this unit attack the Vanguard and pay a cost. If you do, choose up 2 cards from the drop zone, call it to separate rearguard circle in different rows. 2 rearguard, 2 cards, 1 front and 1 back row. That's it. Because it gives you 1 additional attack at 2 counter blasts, which is pretty strong in my opinion, because if you understand how you can have multiple attacks with just by having 2 standing rear guards. Yeah. Next, 1 Blue Heart. Blue Heart is another game-changing card. What it does is that counter blast 1, choose up to 2 cards from the drop zone, call them to separate rearguard circle with a unit once per turn. What I normally do is that if I have a, let's say if I used for the purpose of the stand trigger, well, most of the time, because I need to after I gain a power already, I find that my stand trigger as a 4k attacker, it wasn't that awesome, so I use this card to replace it straight away. I replace another ghosty, even better, so I gain, and select my other rear, gain 10k power to pressure opponent. Yeah, that's as simple as it is, but it's devastating enough to finish off opponent. That's the truth. 1 copy of the Buddy Ram. Buddy Ram is a straightforward effect. Is that on hit effect, if this unit attack hit a Vanguard, just call 1 rearguard, call 1 unit to a rearguard circle, and that unit gain 2k. Yeah. Pressure opponent by throwing their negates is always a good choice. 1 copy of Cerberus. Typically your opponent miss rate 3, you want to write rate 3, stall a turn. Yeah, this will do. Moving on to G zones. G Guardians. 1 copy of It Cost Dragon. The Mueller for for 20k shield. Mill 2 cards, gain 20k shield. 1 Dimmel, it gains a resist effect, and when this unit plays on Guardian Circle, choose on a rear guard, and this unit cannot be unit cannot be hit and cannot be chosen by card effects. In a way that sometimes your opponent try to pro-op your Nightrose GB2 skill by targeting other rear guards that may not be good to you, and you're forced to decide whether you want to retire it or want to mill 3 just to let it survive for that turn. So sometimes this will help to prevent opponent from being targeted or being attacked or being as an attack target. I play 1 copy just in case. Finally, I play 2 copies of Negori. What it does is counter +1, choose one of rear guards and retire it. When this unit plays on Guardian Circle, you may pay a cost. If you do, choose up to 1 normal unit with Ghost D in card name from the drop zone coin to an open rear guard circle. And this unit gains 10k until the end of that battle. It is good because it helps you to pro-op your Nightrose GB2 skill during your opponent's attacking phase. Firstly, with the combo of the Nego Lazy, you can target Nego Lazy to send it to drop zone, and activate Nightrose GB2 skill to call it back to rear guard circle. And next thing, what Nego Lazy does best is to counter +1, soul +1, and call another unit weak 2 or below asset itself, which is normally either your Skeleton Cannoneer or your Stand Trigger, to gain 10k power more to your Vanguard until the end of turn. It is so good that I decided to play 2 copies. As a defense measure is pretty awesome. Plus, imagine after guarding with 25k shield, your Vanguard, after gaining the power from the Stand Trigger Ghosty, is a 21k power until the end of the opponent's turn. Yep. With that, I'm done with this deck list for the Nightrose English deck. I shall give a bit of extra information of what happened going to next month when you guys going to buy the Royal Millennium set. I give some extra information for now. First, Swordmaster Mimic. Swordmaster Mimic is a good card when it comes to power play deck, because the additional 3000 for 2 units is a critical factor for opponent to drop more cards for Q. However, in the Royal Millennium set, there's an alternative card that you may play also, which is this card, Fatal Shade. Fatal Shade is a more defensive card simply because of its its ability to call a non-grade 1 card from the drop zone to a rear guard circle at the end of your turn. Meaning to say that, and it has a ability that you can send this card to the bottom deck instead of going to drop zone. What is really good, because that your deck will tend to have deck out situation very fast. You need an extra card to prevent yourself from decking out, so this saves a lot of problem. Yeah, if you want to go for offensive type, you still play with this. If you want to go for more toolbox type, you play with this, because you can select any card except grade 1 to call it the rear guard circle. A very good example would be Nego Lazy. That's all. So it's up to how it is. First one. The next one will be the grade 3s. Like I said before, this one adds just a folder for the new card, which is obviously this one, the new Nightrose grade 3. I'll play 1 copy to play this one if I get this in the English set, because this is a very awesome card with a Vanguard and rear guard effect. Simply at once per turn that another unit is called from rear guard circle from the drop zone, right? You may soul blast 1 and call a grade 1 unit from the drop zone to the right under the same column as it, which is good because that for maybe you just want to, for 1 count, you want to call back 1 unit, right? Then you end up just calling another unit at the same line to gain more attacks, additional attacks with power boosting. Yeah, and some more is a Nightrose. That's all. Strong enough. And finally, the debate of this card, the Night Storm. Nightrose is a good card, but it lacks power packing finisher. Yes, even though this card is very good in doing multiple attacks, the only downside is if your opponent damage come out of trigger, you cannot do anymore with any more multi combo. Like yeah, you're gonna have stuck with it. So instead of this, if they ever come out this promo card in English, which is Deep Sea Whale, yeah, it is a very good finisher. I dare say that. What it does for this whale is, if it's when this unit attack Vanguard, if this unit is in hollow, right, for every 2 cards in the drop zone, this unit gains 1k. Practically is an end gamer. Yes. So by the time you search out for this card in the mid game, this card is gonna guarantee at least more than 20k to go to attack opponent. Consider, or maybe at the start maybe just gain like 4k 5k, which is good because as a 12k attacker plus 4k 3k means your opponent gonna got 10k guard as itself. Not to mention that in the late game, which is horrifying. Yeah. And the second effect is just pretty much sad, but it doesn't work in the early game. But it is, if you have 5 less cards in the drop zone, this unit minus 3k. Doesn't makes any hard condition to if you write this as grade 3, because you're gonna strike, you can get a 12k grade 3 plus a strike with a 27k attacker. Then you're gonna mill a lot of cards later on. So this is easy to be handled with. Yeah. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy my deck list for the Nightrose deck English that got me to top 8 from the Singapore qualifier, and hopefully this suggestion for the new cards for next month Royal Navy will be useful to you. Okay, thank you guys.